Hey, what's going on?
Lamar, can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me? Hey, what's going on?
Lamar.
All right.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Oh, you're okay.
Technical difficulties. Give me one sec here.
Don't even worry. There's grace for all that.
All right, here we go. Small set. Usually I have my right hand lady, my wife, behind the camera directing, but she's got to get ready for work. She's a CNA, so I'm riding solo today.
Flying solo tonight. That's good.
Flying solo. It's a little scary.
Doing great. Thanks for
How's it going, man?
Thanks for having me on here. I've been tuning in, watching your live streams and some of your videos, and they're great, man. I really appreciate the knowledge you're dropping on people. It's awesome.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm new to the, doing the kind of live and social media thing. So the first couple I needed to kind of get used to it a little bit. And I think they've gotten a little better each time, hopefully.
Yeah,
But,
it's all good. It's just dress rehearsal, right? And then when you meet people in person, then it's the real deal.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm looking up at the umbrella to make sure it doesn't fall on me. That's happened before.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Right. So this is awesome. I love that you guys are doing these live tastings, and how has it been going? I mean, obviously the winery is still functioning, vineyards are still producing. So are you guys doing like curbside pickup and delivery, or is it just wine club only right now, or how are you guys been functioning?
Yeah, we actually, since March 16th, we've basically been work at home and then just order online or, through email or phone call. We didn't have any sales personnel or tasting room associates, office staff at all on the properties.
Okay. Wow.
Until recently, we started having our wine club manager to help take care of packing shipments, and for people, because we just had our April club shipment right in the middle of this, so she worked out of the office a little bit. Of course, production has been working through this time in separate shifts, and then starting next Saturday on the 9th, we're going to offer curbside pickup by reservation only. So
awesome.
Call or email and make an order or pick up their wine club shipment. They just set up an appointment time, and someone will be there on Saturday. So just
great.
People are kind of getting out and driving around. Figure it'd be nice for people to be able to stop by and grab their wine while they're out getting some fresh air. So,
people need it. People need that wine, Garrett. They need that wine.
Yes, absolutely. And we've been doing the private virtual tastings too, which has been really fun. I've had a few of those now. That's been cool.
That's so good. That's so good. I know. I love Zaca Mesa. We've been big fans from a long time ago, and I haven't been out there recently, but I need to come out and check you guys out when this whole thing kind of blows over, and come and see why it's the serene, the sereneness that is the namesake. I love it.
Yeah, man. When this is all over, we'll set something up. You can come out and give you a nice little tour of the production facility.
That'd be awesome.
And we can do the whole thing.
That'd be great.
Cool. Looks like we got somebody else on here. It's got the Grenache as well. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, and as we go through this, guys, if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to put them on here. I'll get to them as we go through here. And well, Lamar, tell me a little bit about Wine Militia. I actually, I started watching you on these when this all started, and I watched a couple of them, and I was like, he seems like a really cool guy to sit down and have a glass of wine with. So that's why I reached out to you to do this. So what is Wine Militia, and what do you guys do?
Well, first and foremost, cheers to you. Thank you for sending a bottle that we can share. I appreciate that. This is an amazing Grenache. We'll get to it, I'm sure, in a sec. But just
Yeah.
to give you kind of some background on who Wine Militia is, I'll have to kind of go further back. I'm originally from Canada. I played rock and roll, and then we got stuck. The band that I was in, we got stuck in the Bay Area in San Francisco. And that was in the late 90s. And we illegally crossed the border, just FYI there.
Uh-oh.
So I'm legal now though. So if everyone's trying to call INS. But honestly, we got stuck in San Francisco Bay Area. So the one thing that we ended up doing is, we ended up jumping on different tours and stuff in the United States, and in between tours, it's hard to find work. So some of us got our permits, and we ended up working at restaurants and in San Francisco. And that's kind of how I first started getting into wine, was through that natural progression of restaurant first, service, hospitality, and then got into wine country very quickly. And cut my teeth on wine country. So it was basically 6 days a week of just wine in the Bay Area, Napa Valley. Started in the tasting room at the very bottom, then went to production, hauling hoses in different wineries. And then I started really getting interested in kind of the education side of it. So my mentor at the time really kind of worked with me. I was working for the Coppola family in Rutherford for quite a while. And my mentor was Larry Stone. Master Sommelier Larry Stone. He's kind of like Yoda a little bit, so he just has a massive amount of knowledge and just incredible palate. So we were tasting wines quite often and testing each other. And he didn't need to be tested, I did. But we dove into kind of the education side of it. And fast forward, I love the Court of Masters and went through that path, and that was quite an experience. I had a lot of failure in the Court of Masters. I know you're familiar with the Court of Masters, but you learn from those failures, and you learn from, some of the trials and some of the blind tastings and the service, and the theory is what kicked my behind. So I had to learn a lot of theory, and as you know, and anyway, so I felt bad because in the service environment, some of my colleagues, which I love to this day, that will remain nameless, they thought it was part of that culture and the sommelier culture to really kind of, button up really tight and to really browbeat and intimidate people that were coming to them for questions. And that really bothered me. So I wanted to do something a little bit different than my colleagues. So some of the band members, some of the people that I surrounded myself in tasting groups, who were kind of the motley crew of wine, we didn't fit in anywhere, and we decided to kind of take this idea of bringing wine in bite-sized doses to people and really kind of taking the pretension off, doing little wine edutainment or education pieces in people's homes. And in 2008, we got the blessing of Mr. Coppola to go outside of the winery and do events that you would normally find in programs you'd normally find in a winery. We'd go into people's homes and country clubs and hotels and private residences and things like that, and really just kind of geek out, but have some fun with it without anybody feeling totally intimidated. So that was 2008, and here we are. We started in a recession, here we are. I don't know what to tell you. But it has been really fun. It has been successful because we've been humble and transparent and honest about not knowing everything.
Absolutely.
So, but I will say this, just to kind of bring it full circle, 2008 was a while ago, but a lot hasn't changed, and a lot has changed. So a lot hasn't changed in that people are still thirsty, and they're still starting to drink wine and wanting to learn. And some people want to dig in deeper. So we have programs that kind of elevate for corporate groups and also for private groups. And we started doing these virtual tastings like you did when we found out that the governor kind of came out with a mandate shutting down the wineries and breweries and what have you. So we thought we would just start doing these virtuals. And one of our clients, we are representing the Santa Barbara Vintners Association for the events in Los Angeles and some of the PR that's going on in Santa Barbara County as a whole for everyone. as well as in Los Angeles. So we thought, let's try out virtual tastings, and then let's see if we can get some Santa Barbara vintners involved. And that's kind of how it started with the virtual, to be honest. So, but yeah, it's kind of been a crazy journey right now. You hear the word pivot, and we're in the mix of that too. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a really cool. I mean, that sounds like a really fun and interesting kind of group to be a part of. I've always thought, bringing, this experience, that kind of somm experience on on kind of almost the most basic of levels to really get people excited and interested in wine is fantastic. That's, we all started knowing nothing, when we got into wine, and that journey you go through is, the most exciting part, learning new things and realizing and always humbling yourself and knowing that the amount of information is still only 5% of the total wine information out there. I mean, it's, it takes a lifetime or more to, absorb, but there's so much to it. It's its own little universe. So, getting people excited about wine, and I'm all about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett, you're in probably one of the coolest places from a somm point of view, and like restaurant point of view. I mean, I think it'd be fair to say, I think the first Zaca Mesa had was the Black Bear. It was the Black Bear. It was I know it was the bear on the label, and I'm almost positive it was a Syrah. And I remember it was like in the Ken Brown era. I think I'm almost positive it was back then. I didn't taste it back then, but it was from that era. And but it was rocking. And I remember all of our colleagues were talking about the balance. And when we talk about balance and Central Coast and balance in Santa Barbara, we'd have, Edna Valley was always brought up. We talk about Edna Valley. We talk about, Bob Lindquist and Coupe and Zaca Mesa. So it was like the golden trio, right? So I love that you're there, man, because you're like soaking it all up. I wish I could hear some of the stories you've been able to hear, and some of the wines that have come across your palate, I'm sure, are just rocking from Zaca Mesa. But we've really, like, as a group, as Wine Militia too, like, we buy directly from wineries. We typically don't work with distributors for the most part. We buy directly from the wineries to keep that relationship alive, because that's all we knew. And we hear those stories, and we try to, like, regurgitate those stories and retell the story. And you're in a hotbed of an amazing history, and all of just that region, which I think a lot of people would love to be in your shoes. So yeah, that's great.
I've been real fortunate to land at Zaca Mesa. I've been there, a little over 4 years now, and with 2 different winemakers during my time there.
Wow.
And the thing I love most about working at a winery is having that one-on-one time and contact with the winemaking team.
Yeah.
To be able to pick their brain, and on a daily basis, it's hard. Not a lot of people have that access, and I've probably learned more from working at a winery than reading any book or tasting any wines.
Totally.
Their knowledge is so much more intensive, and it's a real privilege, and to be able to work in that kind of industry and have that access.
So fun. So Garrett, what are we tasting today? What are we diving into? I think it's a Grenache, yeah.
Yeah, so this is our 2017 Grenache, and I actually this was just released right before this started, and I really haven't really gotten into it. I think I tasted it maybe once, like just when it came out. So this is the first time I've kind of tasted it again since then. So I'm kind of almost tasting it for the first time with you here. And so single varietal Grenache. It's all from a single block of our vineyard. So these are the oldest Grenache vines on our estate, and some of the oldest original rootstock on our estate.
Oh, wow.
These vines were planted in '73 and then grafted in '91 to Grenache.
Oh,
So,
wow.
some really, really old rootstock that these vines are coming in from. Some of the, the original ones that were planted at Zaca Mesa. And
Okay.
this is the first vintage that we've actually isolated that one single block for the Grenache program. So it's a little smaller production in this year because we just took it from that one section. But I think it's made a really beautiful Grenache, and one of the more lush and fruit-forward Grenaches that I think I've had at Zaca Mesa since I've been there.
This is wild because when I see 2017, like, sorry, my brain goes into these weird. I think of like vintage. And I think of like what was going on in the year, and like 2017. That was the year that during and I could be wrong, so please don't even just completely correct me. But I think it was the year that there was a ton of, like, there was some frost and rain, some cool spells in the beginning part, flower and set, and then I think was it low yield? It was the low yield year, right?
Yeah, so the 17 started off with an early bud break.
Okay.
But then things cooled off, just like you said, around flower set, and then picked up again in late summer. It was kind of a cooler summer, and then picked up, closer to July, end of July, August, and then things kind of picked back up. But yeah, it was a little lower yield this vintage. And harvest actually, was a little kind of, this was, 16 was just kind of out of those drought years, and 17 kind of got back to a little more, normal, harvest time, pick time at least,
Right.
Where we had this early bud break, but a more kind of harvest kind of started in, if I'm remembering correctly, it was towards the end of September when we started picking.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think, like you said, like 2017 kind of, it was a weird year. I remember there being a couple of heat spikes too. And I think, like, if I'm trying not to mistaken that area in Foxton, but like, I'm pretty sure it was like 80+ degree nights that people were trying to pick. And the acid was kind of the scary point. People were like, oh my gosh, if it, the acid drops out, it's getting hotter, I've got to pick sooner, like the whole thing. But this is showing, and this is indicating like a great amount of acid. So that is awesome, because I know that heat comes in from the east to the west, and you guys are right in that middle part, right, where it's cool and then it's warm, kind of right in the middle, or no?
Yeah, I mean, so we're actually the very first vineyard coming out of Santa Maria Valley heading south.
So
like, I mean, 2 miles.
Yeah.
You go 2 miles north, and you're in Santa Maria Valley. So I mean, we're right on the edge, right there.
You're right there. Okay.
So we do typically have a little more kind of in the moderate. Sometimes a little warmer, sometimes cooler, depending on the year. But we got a really nice spot right there, and our
Cool.
vineyard elevation is all between 1,200 to 1,500 feet. So the vines are pretty well elevated.
That's so rad. I love that area between the San Rafael and the Santa Ynez, like that, the mountain range. That so unique. We tell everybody when we do these experiences, sometimes we travel up north in Northern California, Sonoma, Napa, and San Francisco, and sometimes we're down in San Diego, and we talk about the difference of why Santa Barbara County, why that area is so unique. Is, you've said it probably till you're blue in the face, is every other wine region in California is north and south, north and south, north and south. And then you get to the San Rafael, Santa Ynez, right? And you got that weird window because everything's all transverse and going the other way.
Yeah,
so,
it's super unique.
So rad. I love
that.
I
mean, without that mountain range, we'd be growing a whole different set of varietals, That mountain range is what gives us the diversity of how, all the different varietals that we have planted, depending on, where we are in the valley. You get the, Little Burgundy and Santa Rita Hills and Santa Maria Valley with all the Pinot and Char. You head in a little inland, you get the, Rhone region with Ballard Canyon and Santa Ynez Valley. And then we even have, Happy Canyon with, the Bordeaux varietals out there. So, we're really fortunate to have all these little subsections in the county that, there's so many different varietals that can grow out here.
Yeah,
We're really lucky.
I think we were talking to Michael Larner, and he was telling us a story of one of the first Syrahs, and I think it was actually a Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre that he was presenting to Guigal. He was in France. He was wanting to make wine for Guigal, but this was like when he first met him, and basically poured him a Zaca Mesa, and it was a GSM blend. And he said, this is going to be unique. And he didn't know who he was at the time. And this guy's like a god of like Syrah and Rhone, and he's pouring him Zaca Mesa, and he like loved it. He was like, this is amazing. So
cool.
Yeah, so it says so much about kind of like the brand standards, even back then. I mean, all the way from, I know you guys have had your wines at the White House, and you guys have served royalty, but like the concept through and through is the same thumbprint, from the Grenache to the Syrah to the Mourvèdre, like all of and even the whites too. I think we've had some whites and we were like, wow, this is like the same style that comes through and through over the years, which I wanted to ask you is, how is that possible when you have multiple winemakers coming in, and they're loyal and they've been there for a while, but how do they keep it like so solid as a brand? What's the trick? What's the tip?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll take a quote from our winemaker. Everything starts out at the vineyard. When you have such a great vineyard site, and we've had the same guy who's been out on our vineyard, Ruben, who's our vineyard manager, lives on site. He's been there since he was a kid, since he was a teenager. He's been working out on that vineyard.
No way.
Manager for about 30 years, and our longest employee at Zaca Mesa. When you have someone that knows that vineyard, like the back of their hand, that makes a huge difference. I mean, to have that knowledge and that connection to the land is huge. And that's a big part of it. You can see the different little stylistic differences depending on the winemaker.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, when you have,
that's a great answer though. I love that. When you got someone like Ruben there
that does such a great job out there, it makes a huge difference.
That's so good. This is awesome.
Yeah, this Grenache is really, really juicy, and just gets your palate salivating. Has like that like cherry liqueur, kind of almost sweet fruit on it.
Garrett, somebody was asking if you could age this. Is this something that is something you would want to age, or is it kind of like you drink it now kind of thing, or what's your wisdom on this?
Yeah, I mean the 17 vintage, it has a lot of balance to it, and while this wine is delicious now, I always, most of our reds, I always say kind of 8 to 12 years is kind of the sweet spot from what I've had historically of our wines. So there's no reason why, this wine couldn't go, at least 8 years, if you want to see, how it develops over time. I really like it now. I mean, the fruit profile is just so fresh and juicy.
Yeah.
I'm really liking it now. Another question on here. What else is hot right now for Zaca Mesa? Anything cool coming down the pipes? Yeah, I mean, a couple of our new programs right now has a lot to do with our concrete and amphora vessels. Our next vintage of our recusant, which is the Grenache Mourvèdre blend that's aged in 100% amphora terracotta clay vessel. That one was planning on coming out later this year. With all this, we'll see if that still happens, but we still have our 2016 vintage available, as well as our Inceptive, which is our GSM blend that's aged in concrete. Those programs are, a couple of definitely my favorite wines right now.
Awesome.
That we're doing. Really cool, man.
amphora, like I haven't heard that in a while, so that's going to be really cool to see that come out. That'll be rad.
Yeah, and it's got the Grenache and it's basically a 50-50 blend of Grenache and Mourvedre, which makes this really killer wine.
Yeah.
Those clay vessels just brings out like the almost this naturalistic style out of the wine, and you really just get a nice true expression of the varietal. And then it has that kind of earthy, dirty little clay mineral kind of tone to it as well, which is nice. So I like that little note. But those are a couple of the kind of cool wines we got going on right now.
Talk to me a little bit about what this Grenache has been aged in, and what's the barrel program, and I'm curious.
Yeah, this is actually 100% neutral.
Okay.
Wow. We do a little bit of whole cluster with the Grenache as well. So usually it's around anywhere from 10 to 20% whole cluster. Same with the Mourvedre. But this vintage is 100% neutral. I've seen it go up to, I think the most we've done on Grenache recently, at least, is about 10 to 15% new. So we always keep it pretty light on the oak on the Grenache to, really let that fruit come through.
And are you guys, you said whole cluster, are you guys doing a little bit of stem inclusion then in all of your reds, or just in those two, like the whole cluster, and you're doing some stem inclusion though a little bit?
Yeah, we do. Typically our Syrah will have a little bit, at the most 10%.
Cool.
But yeah, we do a little stem inclusion on different programs. But yeah, the most that we do is definitely on the Mourvedre, on the Grenache. The Syrah just a little bit.
Love it.
Yeah.
And Garrett, we're going to ask a bunch of crazy geeked out questions, because this gentleman I know from our virtuals, he's great. His name's Mark Simmons. He's asked a great question. Hi Mark, how you doing? He wants to know if it's commercial yeast or native yeast, or do you do a combination of both? Or
yeah, I mean, there's native yeast on the grapes, but we do inoculate yeast, and so we don't do full native.
Cool. Yeah, it's tough. A lot of people have a hard time, committing to one yeast. It takes, especially with a little bit larger productions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It can be really dicey. Yeah. If you're doing like small little productions and have like an anaerobic environment, I know that one of the wineries I used to work for, they had a separate room that they were practicing, experimenting, doing all native. And I thought that was wild, literally wild. But like, it was just interesting how they tried that. And they tried it a few years in a row just to see how it would work. And it's a very small production though. So we learned early in that winery that I was working at that it's hard to do it on a large production, being larger than like 300 cases even. It's like, it's hard to control it, So yeah, exactly. I love that though. That's great.
And that's the thing. We don't have the space.
Right. This is good. I like this a lot. This has the acid that I look for in Santinez wines, but I'm so surprised. 2017, I would have thought it would have been less acidic, and in a way that I thought maybe something happened in the vintage that maybe was less acidic. But the acid's perfectly balanced. It's like right there, and there's surprisingly some pretty nice like tannins, which is is not shocking, but it's something that I'm excited about in Grenache, which you don't normally see a lot of. But it has a good backbone. It's like, this is a good wine to drink on its own, or you could just enjoy with every meal.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually, it's kind of funny. We do a little more classic GSM blend that's called Z Cuvée, and lately it's actually more Mourvedre dominant than Grenache. When I ask Kristen, because typically Mourvedre is more of the structure and more of that rich tannin and spice, and she was actually telling me that she does Mourvedre based because the Grenache actually has more tannin structure than the Mourvedre does.
No way.
Which I thought was super unique. She said that the specific clone that we use for this EQA, it just happens to be a little more structured, and so the Grenache is actually more of the backbone and structure to our GSM blend, whereas the Mourvedre is kind of softening it up, which is super weird.
Wow. That's cool. That's neat. I like that. Who is the winemaker the 2017? Who was making the wine?
So Kristen Bryden is our current head winemaker. She took over in 2016 as the head winemaker, and she's been with us since 2011 as assistant winemaker. So
wow.
Her first full vintage was 2016. Going forward, and 2016 just overall as a vintage has been one of my favorite vintages at Zaca Mesa, if not my favorite vintage. 116 was just a great vintage altogether for the Valley, but I think her individual winemaking style came out and is continuing to develop from year to year. And the one thing that I love about her wines, she's kind of pulled back a little bit on the oak profile, and I'm just seeing a lot more kind of more lush, reserve tannin profile. The wines are just really complex, very balanced.
Cool.
I think, the acidity, the acid that you're talking about in this wine is very prevalent, and that could come down to when she's deciding to pick. But so far, from what I've seen from her, winemaking has been amazing, and I'm really excited to see where things go. With her style and how things develop.
What if you don't mind me asking, what's the price point on this wine?
Yeah, our Grenache is 38 retail. Nice.
I like it.
Yeah, we use Grenache for quite a few things. Actually, we do 100% dry rosé of Grenache that was just released.
Cool.
We do our Z Cuvée blend. We also have our Inceptive program and Recusant program.
Right.
So we use Grenache a lot. Outside of Syrah, Grenache is probably the other varietal that we use the most of.
Well, it's definitely a wine that, especially from Zaca Mesa, that like I said earlier, like in the restaurant world, like we know what we're getting, right? And we know that it is made with that attentiveness and purpose, basically. So there was an intent for it. So if it's a Grenache, it's from one block or multiple blocks, and we know that there was like an intent in making it that makes it really attractive to multiple palates. So a lot of somms, a lot of restaurant like wine stewards and people that really love to push the wine by the glass, and they know there's a quality price ratio too. From what you're saying too, the 38 bones is awesome for a bottle. But it's easy to justify in a restaurant setting as well. So once we get all back up and running, if people can see your Grenache out there, it's going to be rocking, because this goes with so many things. I mean, it pleases so many palates. It's I'm jealous of it a little bit. I wish I could have this wine all the time,
Thanks, man. Yeah, I wanted to send you the Grenache because Syrah is just, that's what we're known for, and everybody knows us for our Syrah. Yeah. And we make a lot of different Syrahs. We make 8 different Syrah bottlings, and I wanted to send you something. I was just trying to decide between Mourvedre and Grenache, and because I wasn't super familiar on this vintage yet, I hadn't really, like I said, haven't really tasted it very much. I wanted to do this wine just to to show that we have other varietals outside of Syrah that are really really great wines.
Yeah.
Grenache is one of them. And it's kind of in the tasting room. I always call Grenache the bridge varietal, and basically what that means is after Pinot Noir, there's not a lot of reds that are a little softer in tannin, a little more fruit forward, not as big until you start getting into the Syrah and the Cabs and Petite Syrahs and some of these bigger red wines, the Italian reds. So Grenache is kind of that nice like in between red for people that like a lighter red like Pinot and Gamay, but maybe want to move up a little bit, just kind of move it up a little notch without jumping into some of these bigger reds. And Grenache is that nice kind of midway between, you know, some of these bigger red wines.
That's cool. I like it. This is a nice wine for sure. This is something that I could see myself really enjoying. What kind of food would you jump in on this with? Or do you have kind of some recommendations for people watching?
Yeah, I mean, with Grenache, lamb's always a good go-to. Pork dishes, like any type of dish with some pork belly in it is nice. You can also go with some of the lighter dishes. That's kind of nice with that versatility. You know, like some of the similar dishes you would pair Pinot with. You know, you could do mushroom risotto, from everything from, you know, from that to, you know, barbecue foods, or, you know, like lamb, you know, leg of lamb, something like that. So it has that
like
nice versatility to it.
Those are great.
I happen to be obsessed with anything pork belly. Anytime I can find you know, something to pair with some pork belly, that's I'm all about that.
Well, we'll have to get together and do some pork belly and this quaffable Grenache that is like, this is hauntingly good. I don't know what you're putting in this, but this is. I like that you're having a second glass, Garrett. This is good.
Yeah, I'm working through it, man. I don't think I need the Coravin. I'm probably wasting some argon here.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's really easy drinker. It's just going back.
Yeah, there's no guilt drinking this for sure. This is awesome. I love this. Thank you for sharing this. This is rad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, I'm a big fan of the Syrahs, but you've kind of opened my eyes to Grenache from you guys being like really versatile, like you were saying. Now you make me want to have a little bit of the lamb chops with the, you know, the little mint jelly, mint sauce. Come on. I like that. We were.
So what do you guys coming up? Do you have any broadcasts coming up on your page?
We do. We got another month of doing some virtual tastings with Santa Barbara wineries. This Monday is Folded Hills, and then we have who do we have? We have a bunch.
Do you have a place to get the schedule?
Yeah, good question. So it's on the sbwines.com site, so Santa Barbara Vintners site, which is great. It's for people to see it. You go to the virtual events, and you'll see just a drop down of all of the different virtual tastings that are going on. And like yourself, I mean, there's options to look at wines that you want to try, and bundles you can purchase ahead of time or after. But the whole point of it is just getting people together and engage them on the wine country, right? Santa Barbara wine country. We're west of France, just north of LA, and that's the whole thing. You know, we're not that. It sticks with people. We want people to know that it's not that far to travel to once this thing lifts, but we want to be top of mind when it does, because we want to get some people on Fox and Trail, man. I want Fox and Canyon Road and come see you guys, and you know, kind of do the loop, and you know, it's gonna be different for sure. But but to answer your question the long way, yeah, we do have some coming up. We're just humbled by it. We're an event-based company, right? So all of our events were put either on hold, postponed, or canceled. And right now we're still working on the Los Angeles events for later in the year. For Santa Barbara, and we have a trade event, a grand tasting with like 200 plus somms and buyers that are gonna be there for Santa Barbara only. We have some media events that are coming up, and then we have some small consumer events that are like takeovers, basically pop-ups in LA. But man, this could be a little bit different, right? So we're trying to incorporate a virtual element in everything we're doing, and getting used to it and getting better at it, to your point, because we haven't mastered all of it yet. So we want to be able to be ready for when we have to make that change for events. So it's a big monster, but we're ready to tackle it. So, but yeah, thank you for asking, and thank you for having me on here, because this has been a lot of fun, and you know, just chatting with. I really have enjoyed the Grenache more than I'm allowed to say.
I appreciate that. It's a good wine.
What do you got coming up? I know you have a tasting coming up Wednesday.
Yeah, so I have we do this every Wednesday and Saturday.
Awesome.
Usually at 5 o'clock, but sometimes on Saturdays I'll do something at 3, depending on what it is. But yeah, this Wednesday I'm going to be tasting through our 2016 Roussan.
Ah, nice.
Which I'm excited for. Roussan's another one of those Rhone varietals that doesn't get a lot of attention or notoriety, and it's a great wine.
Sure.
We call it the red lover's white, and in the tasting room, it's funny. You get those red drinkers that come in and you twist their arm to try the Roussan, and they end up leaving with a few bottles of Roussan.
That's
It's
awesome.
got all that structure and body you want from a red, but being a white wine. And then that upcoming Saturday, I'm actually going to go out to the winery and do a little winery tour through our production facility.
Very cool. I want to tune in on that. That'll be great. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. We offer private winery tours and tastings, during normal circumstances. So I'm going to give a little virtual tour through the facility. And
Cool.
then, so Wednesday is usually a specific wine, and then Saturday is, more of a topic or discussion. Hence, having you here on Saturday, and then Wednesday I do one of our wines.
This is awesome. I'm going to tune in on Wednesday and for the virtual tour. I'm excited to see that. And are you going to give us a sneak peek of those amphoras or no?
Oh yeah. I'll definitely we'll check those out.
That's rad.
Yeah, those are super cool. We got 2 of them and 3 huge 1,000-gallon each concrete vessels.
What? Awesome. Well, that's so cool. I'm excited. Well, cool, man. I'm thank you again for keeping us in the loop, and I really appreciate what you're doing. Keep it up. Like, we love watching you, and let us know how we can help in any way. And obviously, we're gonna be buying some wine from you pretty soon.
Cool. Yeah, well, I'd love to partner with you sometime in the future when this is all over, and
cool.
Get involved in one of your events or something. That sounds fun.
It'd be a blast. We should do it for sure.
Well, cool. Thanks again, Lamar, and I'll be tuning in to your shows coming up, and I appreciate you coming on.
Cheers. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Garrett. Take care today.
You too. Just real quick, guys, coming up this Saturday. What is this Saturday? Sorry, this Wednesday. I'm going to be doing the 2016 Roussan, so brain fart there. This Wednesday, 2016 Roussan, coming up with the following Saturday. I'll be doing a little tour through our winery facility. So on May 9th. Go to our website or email me directly, Garrett at Zaca Mesa Winery, to make any order. 3 or more bottles, $5 shipping. And what else do we got going on? Oh, if you want to pick up any wines, starting next Saturday, we're allowing by reservation to pick up your order or wine club shipment for the wine club members at the winery from 10 to 3 by appointment only. You can email me to set that up. Again, GARRETT at zacamesa.com. Other than that, thank you everyone for tuning in. And I will hopefully see you guys Wednesday. Cheers.